Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of Adapt Revolution. Today is the sixth episode, and so it is all about beauty. And as part of that, we want to focus on the disability magic that is all around us and inside of us. And to speak on that topic today with us, we have a dear friend, Galen Sunshine, who uses they, them pronouns. And I will let Galen introduce themselves.
Sure. All right. Thank you both. It's good to be here with you. Good to see you both. Let's see, introduce myself. I am Galen Sunshine, they, them pronouns. I talk about my work as being a care witch in the world. I was born and live on Dakota land here in so-called Minneapolis, just less than a mile from where George Floyd was murdered 3 years ago today, on the day that we're recording this. And the other direction to the east, several miles from Badote, the birthplace of Dakota people. And my work in the world is very much about talking a lot about care, talking a lot about what it means for us to care for each other well, what radical care looks like, the magic of care, elements of care, how we can just be in relationships of care and be making care together, whatever other bullshit is happening in the world, that we can be in relationships of care together. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Let's see. So, when we talk about disability magic, I feel like I can feel that and touch it and breathe it and all of that. But what to you is the magic of disability? How do you hold disability magic in your life, and what does that mean to you?
I think the name of your podcast speaks to some of it, the Adapt Revolution. I think disability magic is very much about being very aware of what is and adapting, and noticing that every day you wake up that might be different. What is both what is in the world, but also like what is in our own body minds. And to be able to be present with what is and what is true, and figure out what adaptation looks like, not just on an individual level, but in community. Like, what does it look like? How do we show up with this? I think creativity is a huge piece. I've developed what I call the care pentacle, or the 5 elements of radical care, which are interdependence, boundaries, vulnerability, integrity, and creativity. And that really comes out of my own experience as a disabled person and as a care worker, to pieces of my identity that are really core. And the creativity that I have experienced in disability community, and just like the magic of just like figuring out a way to somewhere where nobody even imagined we could go. First of all, like not even the way that of where we're supposed to go. It's not like we figure out a way to do things just like everybody else. Like we figure out a way to go someplace totally different that nobody even imagined existed before we made it up and created it and found a way to do that. So that's what I think of as disability magic. It's a magic that's about that is not attached to sort of like the normative way of doing things. Or the normative way of being in the world. It's creating whole new worlds out of our experience and new possibilities that are a gift to everyone, whether or not they experience disability or however they experience disability. So that's that's where it's at off the top of my head.
Nice. Beth, in terms of your thoughts about like the magic of disability and that sort of thing, what do you feel like are some of the bits of magic that you've experienced from the disability community?
Well, since I just got a job as a security guard 3 weekends ago, I have felt, you know, uh, the confidence to be able to do what others have always said for too damn long that I couldn't do, that I, didn't have others pushing me forward to do. And for so long I have said I want to do something that is non-traditional, that I knew damn well that I could do.
Yeah.
And I kept saying no to the bullshit that was being deliberately shoved down my throat. And I kept, and the better I felt as people were showing me, you know, how to do what needed to be done. And it just kept getting easier, especially while I was at the Luke Combs concert doing my duties.
And being able to do things your own way.
And doing things my own way, independently, like a cat does. And I felt so good about that. And yes, I'm also a cat lady too.
Yeah.
So that felt real good. And then being, an interviewer on, Able Media and telling others about it. I still also want to have a business card, and that's getting better, just getting the word on out, doing old-fashioned networking. So I am getting these non-traditional types of things that women have been kept out of for too long. Yes, including people with disabilities for too damn long.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting just to even recognize the magic of people coming out of the woodwork to be a part of this show. Has really been giving me a lot of life. We've got a brand new song from an artist named Tremaine that I happened to meet this week at the Global Market. So it's called Hit Me on Skype. So get ready for that at the end of the episode. You've heard that throughout the theme music on this episode too, but just the magic of really being together, even if we are on video, even if we are in our beds, if we're on the street, if we're having a meal, if we're trying to build power and organize and create better lives for ourselves and each other. There's so much magic in all of that for me. And I want to say thank you, Galen, for just all of the tools that you've brought to the community in terms of disability magic. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, is because I feel like from your heart center, you really just emanate this kind of let's go attitude that says we can do things differently. We can be ourselves. We can build community. We can, even hold each other accountable and lift each other up and all of those things, that is care work, honestly, to me as well. So, I think on some level, we're all fellow care workers in this conversation, but
Absolutely.
what advice do you have for folks that would like to grab onto more of the magic for themselves and really feel that? And I'm also wondering if you have any particular dreams for the Adapt Revolution.
Okay, so advice and dreams. So I'd say, I think one of the most powerful things that we can do to practice, like what I see as some of the core magic of disability, is to get really, really skilled and practiced, and to be in a constant practice of what it is to receive care well. I think that it changes worlds. I think it changes lives. I think, and when I say receive care well, I mean, again, bringing those 5 elements together of independence, boundaries, vulnerability, integrity, and creativity. And I think I've learned about receiving care well from some disabled folks in my life, folks who have different kinds of care needs than I do, folks who work with more paid caregivers than I do. And I've seen it done really poorly as well, right? Like I've seen, and I've seen, I wouldn't say poorly, that's not the right word, but I've seen so many of us, and myself included, really struggle with receiving care in a culture that tells us that to receive care makes you less. And I think that
Mm.
and so then there's like all of this garbage that comes out in order to try to I think what can happen is when we're receiving care and we've internalized all this garbage about being less than if we need or receive care, then that comes out in our relationships of care in really messy and sometimes harmful ways, and to ourselves and the people that we're in these relationships with. And I think that if we can really practice recognizing our own care needs, asking for those care needs to be met, sometimes giving ourselves the care we need, sometimes receiving it from a tree, sometimes receiving it from a paid caregiver, sometimes receiving it from a beloved, whatever that looks like, wherever that ask comes from, asking for it, and then being in that relationship of care and noticing where interdependence is, and where your boundaries and the people that you're in boundaries, and noticing how vulnerability is part of what's happening in the relationship, and being solid in your integrity, aligned with your values and beliefs, and then always bringing that magical creativity, disability, and care, and bringing all of that in, I think can, it can change communities, it can change lives, it can change worlds. And I think that if we're all in that practice, then that will also fill us up so that we're better able to be present and show up when we are called on to give care. And so I think that if we are really tending to and committing to our own care and committing to what it means to receive care well, that we will then show up in different ways when we're in relationships where we are giving more care. And I think I have said this recently too, I think like as a queer and a trans person living in the world right now, I need all of my allies to get really good at receiving care so they can show up with me in the horrors of being terrorized and in the joys of what it is to be trans. So it's like, this is what I need people to be doing in the world in order for all of us to be able to care for each other better. So that is my advice, which also kind of leads to my dreams, I guess, of what the Adapt Revolution looks like. And what I imagine is a world where everything is centered around care instead of around violence, instead of around capitalism, instead of around power, like, individual power. That if every way that we come together, whether that's in government or community organizations or nonprofits or care relationships, if everything is centered around making sure that everyone is receiving the care that they need and being in healthy relationships of giving and receiving care, that will sort of shift everything to a new paradigm. And so I think centering care in everything, like there's no reason to have a government unless it's focused on care. Like that's the only reason we should come together and have that much power concentrated in one place, is if we're using those resources towards making sure that everyone's getting their care needs.
Yeah.
Like that's, so it's like,
Wow.
whether it's government or community organization or what, or however, faith communities, however it is we're coming together and organizing ourselves, care needs to be at the center. And that's my dream, is that care is at the center of all the ways that we come together. And that I think that means disabled people are the most powerful people in that paradigm, because we provide an opportunity for people to come together and organize around care. And those of us with the highest care needs are the most powerful, because we're building the biggest communities of care. And children and elders and disabled folks, I think, is like where the power lies in that paradigm. And that's the world that I want to create with others.
That is the disability magic paradigm.
Yeah,
Wow. That is a breath of fresh air.
oh,
Thank you for saying all of that.
Thank you for
Thank you. Yeah, wow. What a dream.
definitely.
Centering care, what it means to truly center care.
Yeah.
On all levels.
Yeah.
Wow. Beth, do you have any other questions for Galen?
I'm trying to think. Not sure if well, do you think it would do away with, the poisonous toxic power of corporations?
Yeah. I mean, that is one way
Yep.
that humans have decided to organize themselves in this timeline, is around corporations. And I think that the way that power is concentrated through money, mostly in corporations, is the opposite of being centered around care. And so it's
Yeah.
being centered around like creating vortexes of power and resources where all of the power and resources go up to a few people at the top, while they
Right.
sort of dominate the lives of everyone underneath, right? And so that is like the opposite of what we want to
Yeah.
create
That's not good.
in terms of a world centered around care.
Mhm.
And I think, I mean, capitalism overall, like, and the way that we sort of the racialized capitalism that we are sort of living in worldwide, and especially in a particular ways on this continent and in this sort of country as it's defined, is just like also does not prioritize care. There's no way that we're going to solve the care crisis with more capitalism, right? Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's kind of the skin we all have to shed.
right.
some
It's
point.
just like
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
just could organize the thing and make it, and right now a lot of our care systems are organized under capitalism, right? If we think about the
Yeah,
medical
they
industrial complex, and like, and the way that corporations and governments are
Yeah.
polluting around that. And the way that all of that is racialized. So
Oh,
yeah.
it is.
corporations, that's right, Beth. I'm like, they are
Yeah,
the
no,
they
I
are the
agree.
opposite of centering.
We did have a bit of something to say about the end of corporate personhood on the last episode.
Nice.
Speaking of what personhood really means to all of us.
Brilliant.
So that was a moment.
Yes.
But yeah. I will just ask you, just in case, do you have any jokes?
Oh, I know you mentioned to me earlier there might be a joke, and I like, my brain doesn't really hold on when people tell me good jokes. Oh wait,
Mhm.
so I go every 3 days a week. I go to the pool at Courage Kenny, which is also, I think, the Courage Center. There's a lot of disability magic there, even as there's medical industrial complex
Oh,
trying to be layered on top of it.
Yeah.
And but they have a little riddle
Okay.
up on the whiteboard in the pool area that we like. Anybody know the answer to the riddle today? And so let's see if I can remember. One of the riddle that they had there most recently was so at the there's a sort of a section of the pool that's bubbles, like a little spa in the corner of the pool at
Right.
Courage Kenny. And they said, what do you get when you put the pool noodles in the bubbles? Was the question.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
Oh,
Oh.
Get it? The pool, you get spaghetti. There we go.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, there's my joke for you.
Thank you.
I get
Spaghetti.
new ones of those every week that I
Spaghetti.
go to the pool.
Good
Okay.
to know. All right, Galen. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone as part of the episode?
I'll just say again, interdependence, boundaries, vulnerability, integrity, creativity. Bringing those 5 things together to alchemize into what can be radical care or care magic is the game. So I just like want to encourage everyone to practice with that. Think about what those concepts mean for them. Figure out how they interact together. Figure out how they move in your body and in your communities, and think about what it means to center care in everything that we do together. So just that.
All right.
Oh, it was good seeing you again.
Good to see you, Beth.
Yeah.
Well,
Hope you've gotten my messages.
yes, I am. Responding to messages is not the thing that I am best at in the world, but I do see when they come through, and
Yeah, when I called
respond
you.
as I can. Yeah.
Messages.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Galen.
Thank you both. All right.
Yeah.
You got.
Bye, dear.
Bye. Bye, hon.